Wary observations, righteous discussions, unite people. It's the Word Up Podcast. I am your host, OMNI, ETC, Omni, etc. Folks, listen. We got a problem differentiating between what is and is not important. Before we get to that, let's jump on in. All right, if you would subscribe, hit the notification bell, like for the YouTube algorithm. Helps out the channel, the show. We have a problem differentiating between what is and isn't important. And that I believe that is the primary thing that causes us to lose out in so much. As you can see, I have a picture of Dr. Umar up here. And, you know what I'm saying, most people are going to know what it's about when the thumbnail hits. But we have a serious problem. And the problem I see comes from our value system. Now, Dr. Umar was just recently featured on Daily Wrap-Up Crew's podcast. Let me get into this. Okay. And Daily Wrap-Up Crew has been around for quite some time, almost as long as Kevin Samuels, but not. Actually, I can't say as long as Kevin Samuels. I'll say about as long as people have known about Kevin Samuels. Matter of fact, I believe they were the first ones to actually do the show where they bring in girls and talk to them. They had a different setup then. It was a much smaller room, the early videos. And theirs is more relationship based. Dr. Umar came on their show, and Dr. Umar is community based. At least that's what he stands on. That's what he speaks about. Keeps talking about opening up the school. He's been trying to open up that school since I graduated from school. That's neither here nor there. I just wanted to bring that into the fold and establish him as a community person. And why he believes himself to be, and why he's seen as such. But here's the thing. The problem I'm having is, definitely control room. The problem that I have and have had is the lack of community focus. That's what I've had with the quote-unquote black community. We don't seem to be focused on anything as a whole. Open to the possibility that I'm wrong always. Always open to the possibility of wrong. Matter of fact, I like being wrong in a lot of cases because I get the opportunity to learn something. That won't go in there. This is being very difficult right now. I don't understand it. But I lose out on the opportunity to learn if I'm always right, if I always feel like I'm right. And this is one of the primary reasons I made this podcast was to get to the truth of things. And from what I see, at least, and that's all I'm going to speak to, is what I see. From what I see, We focus on the wrong things and it causes us to lose the game. Now, what, pray tell, do I mean by the wrong things? Well, by the wrong things, what I mean is more often than not, we leave it up to how we feel about things instead of how to actually be solutions based and solve the problem in a logical fashion. We're going to go over Dr. Umar's discussion. I don't necessarily call it interview because they did talk about some things in regards to him, but it was really more about the discussion that they were having. So we're going to go over that here shortly in a minute. I can get this screen to act right. Interesting. This looks different. Okay, so we're going to go over this. We're going to go over this interview. Let me swap to it. Get rid of that. We're going to go over to this interview that that Dr. Umar had specifically. Actually, no, this is the exact clip. So this is just a 17-minute excerpt of the full-length interview. We're going to watch it here shortly. All right, here we are. Fair use. Shout out Daily Wrap-Up crew. Here we go.
Speaking of that, I've seen a video of yours where you said that feminism has conditioned Black women to view Black men as the enemy.
It has. Feminism was financed by the CIA. Gloria, what was her name? Gloria Steinem, I think she was.
Right, yeah.
Mother of modern feminism, because traditional feminism goes back to the 1800s, right? With Susan B. Anthony and those white supremacists. But Gloria Steinem was a CIA agent. They financed her. Her first feminist magazine they paid for. The CIA brought feminism into the white household to get the woman out the house and into the Black household to turn the Black woman against the Black man.
And this is what a lot of us know and believe to be true. There's evidence of this, as he just pointed out. Also, Sister Shahrazad Ali, she talks about this very thing very often. Shout out to her.
Mm-hmm. To scapegoat us for problems caused for her by white supremacy.
So, obviously, a big thing, obviously, we spoke about the gender wars, earlier. Obviously, there's a lot of conversation nowadays about, the value of what a woman brings and the value of what a man brings in a relationship. And now there's a lot more.
These ads, these funky ads. But let's break that down. Let's break that down for a moment. If there's a history and a pattern of, these types of women not adhering to the thing that's best for them, you know what I'm saying? What exactly would the solution be? As far as, the breakdown of the family structure, right? Because if a lot of us have been raised by single mothers, I've had the pleasure of knowing what it's like to have a two-parent household and then subsequently be raised alone with one parent. That parent being my mother. What is it that would help prevent I know my case is different from many others, but what's the best way to go about the usual? And the usual is what's going to be said in this clip you're going to see coming up is the brothers are going to be talking about poor mating selection from the women coming up. And that's usually the usual response, right? And I don't disagree. I don't disagree that it's not just a black woman thing. That a lot of women choose have poor mating selection. But I want to use that one. All right. But let's go ahead and break this up. I'm going to go back to the footage. Oh. That's right, I did mute it. I muted it down here. Hold on. There we go. Let's go back a little bit.
Man brings in a relationship, and now there's a lot more rhetoric from our women that we hear is I'm strong, independent, I don't need no man, right? So,
that's pain speaking, though.
Right.
Because most black women know they will never get a man. A black woman can have sex whenever she wants.
Right.
Because she's beautiful. She can have a bed mate, but to have a soul mate, she may never get.
Is that true? Is that true that most black women actually believe that they will never get a man? Is that really what and this man's a clinical psychologist, so he'll likely know better than me, likely know better than a lot of people, because he's probably actually broken down the psychology of these sisters. So, which would take, I would say, if anybody from the community would be able to, a rational thinking psychologist would be the route to go, because the mind affects the body. The body cannot sustain without the mind. The mind can live a little bit without the body, but it would too perish. But the main point is that the mind rules all that takes place in the body. As such, in order for us to get out here and do anything, the mind has to be right. So I would say that if anybody, it would be a clinical psychologist that would be able to bring the people together in a way and get them moving in a particular fashion with his insight and understanding. And we're taking this completely absent of anything else that might have happened. We're just looking at Umar in this one instance. But let's go.
I have two daughters, 11 and 20, right? My oldest would be 21 this week. Statistically, right? There's a strong chance my daughter could be one of those. I hope she's not. She could be one of those who never get a husband, because only 1 out of 4 gets a husband. You see that?
And this is an interesting point for Umar to raise for me, in particular, because he's talking about the low marriage rate, and he's talking about, black women not being married, and his daughter might be a black woman that does not get married. And my question always is, when Umar starts talking about marriage, sir, how is your wife? That's my usual question. Let me go back real quick for a moment while we're breaking this up. That's my question to Umar. And the reason why that's my question to Umar, is because, sir, if you're not married yourself and you're worried about your daughters not being married, wouldn't the best path be to marry their mother? And why wouldn't you marry their mother? Now, anything could be true like the reason why he didn't is maybe she has some sort of illness. Maybe the mother was terminal. Maybe something happened. Something probably happened that we don't know about in that situation. But I find it interesting that a man that deals with the minds of individuals on a regular basis has self-examined and said the best way to lead my people is by example, and marry the woman that I have not just one but two children with. And also, we don't know if these two children are from the same mother. But in this one existence, we're just talking about Umar and what he's presenting in this conversation. We don't know what that situation is about. But that is always my question. Whenever he starts talking about marriage, or he's talking about, not every black woman, particularly in this instance, not every black woman is going to be married. Whenever he's talking about anything that does with marriage rates, marriage numbers, marriage in general, wouldn't it then be the best case scenario for you to be the example of the thing that you're having a discussion about, or you having some sort of experience or expertise in the very thing that you're talking about? Like, how are you talking about marriage, and as far as we know, you've never been married? It didn't even have to be to your baby mother. Look, I get it. Men talk my ear off about their baby mothers. I understand. If you had similar circumstances. But how is it that you continuously talk about something that you've never been through yourself? Or you don't have the example? And that's all why, I need to be around more married folk, because most people telling me to get married are divorcees. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I want a successful marriage, not, some rinky-dink stuff. But I digress. Let's continue on with him talking. I just thought that it's always very interesting to me when Umar, brings up marriage, but he himself has never been married. And he right here is conveying worry that his own daughter may not be married. Wouldn't it be best to be the example for the man for your daughter to look for in being married? If she's never seen you married, what's the thing with marriage? Why is that something that you still hold to be of some value to you? But let's continue.
So when a black woman says, I don't need a man, that is a reaction to the reality that I may not get a man.
So why not preach? Because I understood, you're obviously against interracial relations when it comes to black men with with white women.
With all women. You should only be with the black woman.
And you will say, well, if you can't find a good woman in America, there's
somewhere else.
In Africa.
Absolutely.
So why not teach that same rhetoric to our women? Like, if you feel
I
like
tell sisters all the time, go to Africa. So I know sisters who marry. I just spoke with a sister. She invited me to the wedding. She just married a brother from the continent.
So, but instead of saying they will never get married, I've taken
sisters to Africa who married brothers they met in Africa.
Right.
So yeah,
I think I think there's obviously plenty of black men
yes,
for black women. So
and what I also tell black women, if
married,
you're going to go get you an African man from the continent,
right,
you're going to have to understand that the way in which you talk to black men in America will not be tolerated over there.
Mm-hmm. Why the fuck is it tolerated? It's not tolerated here. That's what we're trying to tell them.
Well, over here, I want to say this to us, though. Because we try to act like the way sisters treat us doesn't have a history that we are not at least partly responsible for. Let's be honest. The black woman has had to hold down the black house by herself, although imperfectly. She's had to do it by herself since the mass incarceration of black males began in the 1970s. You understand me? Most of our children are raised by a single mother right now.
Okay. We understand the mass incarceration It's been some years. It's been some decades. I'm not saying we should let it go. All I know is I know some gangsta ass fellas that are doing quite well for themselves right now. All I know is I know quite a few individuals that have done XYZ back in the day, and they pushing that thing. They got some horsepower under their hood. They got nice houses. I know some people. Some people I don't know personally, but I know of some people. I see them on my Facebook. They're doing quite well. All legal money. No jail, no hopes of going back to jail. Although if times get hard and their grind ever stops for any reason outside of their control, they will most likely go back. I believe manhood is about having a list of things, a list of options, ways for you to get resources, and then what you do with those resources thereafter, procurement. But actually, I like the word acquisition better. After the acquisition of resources. But this is the thing. How long do we say that regardless of, how long until rather do we say that regardless of our current circumstances, we're going to do everything in our power to advance forward? Just a question. Let's continue with Umar. But I want you to think about that.
And it has been that way for about 50 years. So when a sister says, I don't need a man, because she couldn't find one strong enough to hold her down. Or when you meet a woman and you say, sister, I'm strong enough to be your man. You ain't got to work or you ain't got to pay the bills or whatever. Pull back. I got you. And she can't do it because all the other men before you who disappointed her. So what I'm saying is, black men, we got to be patient with our women because we created that personality.
And that's where he loses me. We got to be patient with our women because we created that person. No, we didn't. Sir, no, we didn't. We did not. And this is the problem where his anti-individualism argument falls apart. He's being anti-individualism, but he's talking about an individual circumstance with another individual that we had nothing to do with. So I'm not feeling him on that one. I'm not feeling him on that one anymore. But let's continue to see where else this goes.
We created that, and then we want to act like we didn't play a role.
We have to be held accountable for their poor selection.
No, you have to be held accountable. No, you have to be held.
See? You see that? See how that...
held accountable for their poor selection.
No, you have to be held accountable.
See? That fucked him up. That messed him up.
Created that personality. We created that, and then we want to act like we didn't play a role.
We have to be held accountable for their poor selection.
No, you have to be held accountable. No, you have.
That messed him up. That messed him up too tough.
Have to be held.
That messed him up too tough. I saw this in a reel. I saw him do this in a reel, and it was edited. So this him. Because he had to restructure. That's what that is. He had to restructure the question because he was already ready to fire back. But it was like, oh, wait a minute. I got to. So he was too quick to fire back because he wasn't listening to listen. He was really listening to respond. So he was going to respond. But then he was like, oh, wait a minute.
So what I'm saying is, black men, we got to be patient with our women because we created that personality. We created that, and then we want to act like we didn't play a role.
Because this brother cut him off. Real quick. So
we have to be held accountable for their poor selection.
No. So he was in the middle of another thought, and then he had to jump to a different thought.
You have to be held accountable. No, you have to be held accountable because they have a poor selection.
We have to be held accountable because they have a poor selection. What does that mean? If I'm doing what I'm supposed to in the world, I'm not committing any crimes, I'm not doing anything to get me locked up, I make sure that I bust my ass. What does that exactly mean? That I have to be held accountable as a grown man that they had a poor selection. Wouldn't it be the generation prior to me that should have made sure that they didn't have a poor selection? And let's unpack that, because I'm just gonna run it back again. I'm just gonna run it back.
Held accountable. No, you have to be held accountable because they have a poor selection.
Okay, so we have to be held accountable because they have a poor selection. Yeah, that doesn't make any damn sense, because the person that could have adjusted the numbers, if we want to hold black men accountable, then it's really black men of former generations, not this generation. Not of my generation, not of that man's generation, if we're in the same generation. It will be men of former generations that could have guided the trajectory of the youth at that time, which would be us, into a different path. And that didn't happen. So the person that needs to be held accountable is the one that allowed it to happen, which would have been former generations. The only thing that we as black men can do now is help out the generation coming up under us to keep them from going down certain pathways. And that's doable. However, the reason why she in particular has a poor mate selection has nothing to do with me, sir. It has absolutely nothing to do with me. She chose wrong. She'll continue to choose wrong. It's her choice. It can't be her body, her choice. Hold on, I'm getting in the full flow here. Okay. So it can't be her body, her choice when we're talking about, you know what I'm saying, the termination of pregnancy. And, you know, a man's fault of what the product of should she carry to term, because it's only her choice. Should she carry to term, we cannot then put that on men too, of what the product of that child is. You know, the black community is really the only community that says the person that's absent has the most responsibility, instead of the person that was there. The person that's there is never held accountable, but the person that's absent is always held accountable. And I guess that has something to do, to a certain extent, of the burden that children present. So I guess in a way you could say that that's that mother's accountability. But we got to stop doing this as a people. You cannot always put men at fault for everything that takes place. If women are unruly and they want to be unruly, there is nothing that a man is going to do to change it. Which is why men are just going to choose what they want to choose. They're going to choose the one that gets on your program. It's like, I have a Windows computer. And these women are Apple programs. There's no compatibility. The women that the Daily Wrap-Up crew is referring to, they're Apple programs trying to install themselves on a Windows operating system. There's no compatibility. It won't work. What men say they want, they want. What women want is highly unreasonable. Highly unreasonable, you know, in a lot of cases. And so unreasonable, usually she'll violate that rule, those rules, that laundry list of things and qualifications for her mate, for, you know what I'm saying, that guy. that come along that is the worst possible thing for her. See it play out every day. But I don't actually just see that as being a black woman thing. I honestly believe that a lot of women do it. Now, if we get into the percentages, do black women do it more often per capita? Possibly. I would say yes with the single. Actually, I would say yes. But they're not the only women to ever do it. But what Dr. Umar is just completely off on this point. That's the point he actually loses me. All right, we're going back. All right.
Adobe just pinged.
Jesus. Hold on. I say we going back and then we get interrupted again. All right, so here's the thing. Waiting for it. Okay, it's back. Let me go back. All right, so he's saying this BS. Look, he's saying that there is no accountability. Like, why do we get to? Hold on, let's play it again. Oh, hold on.
For their poor selection?
No, you have to be held accountable. No, you have to be held accountable because they have a poor selection.
Bullshit.
See, what you're saying, you're selecting a poor mate. And what I'm saying is they don't have much to select one, so of course you're going to end up with a poor mate.
Bullshit. They skip right over the best dude for them. Most women skip right over the best dude for them. For the bad, like we're acting like the bad boy trope isn't a thing. It's all throughout Hollywood. It's all throughout modern art, entertainment. Women have a tendency of picking the worst thing for them, and we're going to act like all of these women that graduated, they have their degree, they have a master's, a PhD. Why is it that they tend to pick the worst thing for them? Why? You know what I'm saying? She wanted to get with the Tyrone or Jerome when Simon, Theodore, and Alvin were readily available. Yes, I know it's the Chipmunks, but they're also, you know what I'm saying, somewhat nerdy, dorky names. But that brings me to my central point is, like, you know what I'm saying, a man having intelligence is usually seen as a bad thing by a lot of women, especially in our community.
And why is she going to end up with a poor mate? Because we as black men are not raising black boys to be the men that our women need.
And what is that man exactly? Break that down.
We are not. They out there.
We're not raising. A lot of men aren't in the home because she'd rather get the welfare check.
They're killing themselves right now. What we doing about it? Unemployed black males. What we doing about it? Pants sagging, weed smoking. What we doing about it? Black men are not raising black boys to be the men our community needs. That is 100% our fault. What I'm saying.
But when we go into the direction of what the community needs, the woman wants nothing to do with us. That's what Daily Wrap Up Crew is saying. When we are in the direction, when we head in the direction, not all, but a good number, a big number of women are turned off by men who are the exact thing that they need, because they want a modicum of control over that man, for the most part.
Is she got a right to be angry with us? She got a right to be angry with us.
I understand
we have not been on our job as black men. If the men are the providers, what have we been providing for our community? I'm not speaking you individually.
Yes.
Because you may be a damn good father. You may be a damn good father. You may be a damn good father, but guess what? What are we doing for the community? What are we doing for the children who don't have a father? You don't think the black woman got a right to be angry when she's been raising 2/3 of the kids by herself for 50 years?
Whose choice? Usually there is a choice that is made to be alone. You know, I understand going to jail. I understand that's what he wanted to lead with. But I know a lot of black men that are not in the house with their kids and they're free. Most of the men that are fathers that I know would love nothing more than to be around their kids 24/7. But they got to go out, grind, hustle, and all of that because that's what we do as men. However, they're not at home with their kids. They're not in the home with their kids. And a lot of times it's not by choice.
And the minute she raised her voice, we say she's not humble enough. She had to become masculine to survive the rape, the molestation, the domestic abuse. Are you telling me you can't see?
What domestic abuse if the man isn't home? This is getting easier and easier to pick apart. To survive the domestic abuse. From whom? If there's no man raising her kids, meaning there's no man in the home.
How we created that?
I understand that, but she needs
if
to
we
be
was
more
loving
selective.
our women and taking care of our women, do you think she would be like that? That personality has a history.
If she's picking Pookie and Ray Ray instead of
You're making her a scapegoat.
No, she.
How are you making her a scapegoat for something that she decided?
She's picking a scapegoat.
No.
There's good quality.
Okay, I don't know what he just said, but
The question that they ignore.
Why she even got it? Why is there even a Pookie in the selection?
You gotta ask her.
Okay, here's the thing.
No.
There are Pookie in the selection because there will always be a Pookie in the selection. Just like you go to other communities, Caucasian communities, there will be a Chad in the selection. There will be, you know what I'm saying, a Joe Dirt in the selection, if you will. There will always be these elements. You're not going to eviscerate it all at once. You're not going to take all of them away.
I'm going to tell you why there's a Pookie in the selection.
Why?
Because black men have abandoned black boys and have allowed social media, white media, athletes, and rappers to raise them. That's why she with Pookie. If we never allowed Pookie to develop, she would not have a Pookie.
I will say that there is some truth to what he's saying, particularly here. I can say that there's some truth to it. Because when I was being brought up, I didn't have a strong male figure in my life growing up. So I had to figure out a lot of things on my own. You know what I'm saying? So like later on in life, like, you know what I'm saying, my most important developmental years when I was like 14 after Katrina happened and all that, I didn't have any strong male figures in my life on a consistent basis. So I did get into a lot of BS that I shouldn't have gotten into, honestly. But with that said, I'm not a guy I'm not anymore a guy that would be doing all of that, you know what I'm saying? And honestly, being sexually promiscuous and undisciplined with my dick, like they love to say these Pookies and Ray Rays are, has never been really attractive to me. Because I was very aware of diseases and like everybody I knew was getting, you know what I'm saying, clap at one point in time, but it's neither here nor there. What I'm saying is not everybody turns out in the archetypes or the stereotypes that you think they do, just because you want to classify them that way based off of how they were raised and what they've been through. But I digress. Let's go ahead.
If we're going to be men, the first thing we got to do is take responsibility for why our women feel the way they feel.
I can hear that.
You shouldn't take responsibility for why people feel the way they feel because those are their feelings, and feelings are a reaction to stimuli. Okay? You don't take responsibility for the way that they feel. Okay, and quite frankly, nobody really cares how men feel. Nobody really. People feign sympathy or feign empathy, but nobody's really going to do anything for a man. It doesn't. Trust me, nobody's coming to save you if you think they are. I want to make this abundantly clear to young men out there. Nobody is coming to save you. Nobody's coming to save you. Get that thought out of your head and get to working.
Saying that they're right to disrespect, because even if a woman disrespects me, right, that still don't give me a right to disrespect her because she's still the queen of the community.
I reserve the right to disrespect whoever disrespects me. I don't care. I don't care. He is so off.
Even if she's not acting like it, I'm going to give her that respect.
Even if she's not acting like it, I'm going to give her that respect.
But when I hear brothers talk like this discourse we having now, we act like we don't understand.
No,
There's reasons for that shit.
I do understand. Women are so valuable. You get what I'm saying? Like, I think women ground men and help them, propel to the next level.
The right woman, not everyone. Like, we need to go back to classifying undesirable behavior. I don't care what the slut walk says. I don't care about none of that. We need to go back into classifying undesirable behaviors as such, in women especially. We need to go back, say hoe bitch, skank, scallywag, harlot, Jezebel, all of that. All of that. We need to go back to all of that. And the reason why is because we've gotten out of the habit of, we've done a reversal, actually. We've done a full reversal. We don't classify women anymore in undesirable traits, and we exclusively classify men in their undesirable traits. And we give them names like Pookie, Tyrone, you know what I'm saying, Ray, all of that. So, and those are examples of particularly black stereotypical males. Okay. We've gotten out of the habit of analyzing women for their undesirable behavior and classifying and slotting them as such. Well, now we still do it to a certain extent, but like men say these grandiose things like every woman is a pleasure to be around, and that's not the case. That's not the case. Women, I will say the black woman in large part has not been a joy to be around for long periods of time. In general, it is what it is. A lot of them aren't pleasant to be around. I love my sisters, but it's just like, yeah. They try to force, they kind of try to force certain things on black men, and I'm not with it at all. And I have to check them on it. Like, you're not going to force this and that on me. All right, I am who I am. Now, if you brought it to me in a better way, then cool. But you're not going to force a condition on our relationship if I don't agree to it. And that's something that men have lost nowadays, is being uncompromising about certain principles and certain ways that you are. A lot of y'all don't have spines at all. And you didn't even have the balls to step up to your mother. But that's neither here nor there. Let's go.
I think men get further in life with a woman, right? But if I'm a hardworking man, but I'm only looked at as resources,
okay,
and then she's ready to jump on Tom, Dick, and Harry because he got flash, he's shining a little bit more, his access to money is quicker than mine. It's kind of hard to have that.
Well, one, I agree with you, but that's not all sisters.
No, it's not. It's
and if
not.
you're constantly running into that type of woman,
Yeah.
then the problem is you, because you're attracting a certain low vibrational energy. Why is
why
that?
not have that same energy for women? You just again, you held the
Because
man
we having a
responsible.
conversation as men.
Yeah.
I got plenty of interviews with all women where I check them too.
Right.
But as a man, you should not be concerned about what I say to them. No. As men, we should be concerned of what we're going to do to produce a better generation of black males for tomorrow. That's the only, that is where we should be focusing.
Women bring the choice of life, right? We understand that, right? I can't have a child unless a woman agrees.
And she can't carry one if you didn't put it in her.
I agree with that 100% too, right? But whether or not, if you want that child or not, she can still make that decision. It's only
if
up to
you
her.
don't put a seed in her, nothing else happens.
Absolutely.
And no woman can make you put a seed in her. So the original act was the responsibility of a man.
True.
I agree with him on that wholeheartedly. And going back to a lot of dudes that talk to me about my thought process every single time is, well, didn't you know about her these ways before you decided to lay down with her? That is my response every single time. Did you not know that she was on birth control? A lot of dudes out here, I'm going to be honest, y'all really do take piss poor care of your woman because you don't even know what her gynecologist appointment is. You don't go to it. You've never sat in one. You've never sat, hold on, I'm about to flow again. You've never, look, a lot of you dudes are poor mates because you've never sat in the gynecologist's office with your girl, and the gynecologist is giving you them looks because you done beat it up. Listen. Gynecologists be mad as hell. Going over the past smear and going over the results and like, oh well, it looks like this. Listen, I'm being hyperbole, I'm being funny, but no, like a lot of y'all just don't take care of the women in your company. And I just don't know what that's about. So I somewhat agree with Umar. It's weird to say, but he lost me completely on where, you know what I'm saying, men are supposed to raise somebody else's child. That I don't agree with that shit at all. But when it comes to the taking care of our black women, a lot of dudes have never taken a woman to a doctor's appointment. You know what I'm saying? A lot of dudes literally think the only thing he has to maintain is the sex game. That's what a lot of dudes believe. It's all you have to do to make sure that, you know what I'm saying, you laying the pipe right. Not guide her, not put her in a better direction, not show her anything of substance. You know what I'm saying? Not even watch YouTube videos with her on how she can level up her financial game. Not even, you know what I'm saying, set aside time to give her insight and information on how you operate. A lot of dudes just think that she's supposed to show up to a relationship the way that she, you know what I'm saying, perfect for him, already with everything that he needs of her. No, that's not how it works. It's never how it works. Information must be exchanged. Communication must be delivered. Instructions must be given. Hey, look, this is what I fuck with, and I don't fuck with nothing else. Or, you know what I'm saying, I know you used to, you know what I mean, doing X, Y, and Z, but the program that I'm on, yeah, if you're with me, you can't really get down like that no more. If you cool with that, cool. If you're not, keep it pushing. It's simple conversations to have. It's just that a lot of men that I find are afraid to tell women anything that goes against their preconceived notions. And they're really worried about the woman getting emotional. Look, I've been telling mine a long time. look, you could do all that emotional shit, you could raise your voice and whatnot, but we will reconvene when you feel like being an adult and actually talking about this. We don't yell in my house. We don't yell in my, let me say that again. We don't yell in my house. And I keep that consistent with myself as well. I hold myself to that same standard. If I ever get so flustered, I rarely do, because if anybody knows me that watches this knows that I'm a level dude, but I rarely get so flustered to the point where I get to yelling in my home. You know what I'm saying? Because I know what that brings. I know that we got neighbors. I know that nosy neighbors, look, when we got the COVID, they thought that the relationship was done because I was in the house for a week. It's like that car he moved for a week. Oh yeah, that girl that left him. As though that would be the end of my story. I hate that trope when old lady acts like when a young girl leaves a young dude, that's gonna be the end of that man. What is I gonna do? What is I gonna do? Might as well throw dirt on me, put me in a hole and throw dirt on me. My story's done. My chapter's finished. No, but seriously though, like, we don't yell because I don't even want there to be a suspicious of the DV, of a domestic violence situation. You know what I'm saying? Nosy neighbors calling the cops and whatnot and what that brings. So look, argue with yourself. They ain't gonna hear me shouting back at you. They ain't gonna hear me argue with you. I just leave the room. We got rooms. I'll leave you right where you stand and I will just go on and do something else, be about my business. I'll lock you out the door. You break down the door. It is what it is. I don't care. We got cameras. They will see everything. Be stupid if you want. You know what I'm saying? But I wouldn't even get with a woman that feels like she can be violent around me. Because what does that say of me as a man? I really do believe that says something about what they think of the man. She gets violent with you because she really believes that there's no repercussion and you just not going to do anything under any circumstances. I have limits. I have boundaries, I have borders, I have lines for you to cross. Or rather, lines that you should never cross. So with that said, you know, I just do believe that there's some truth to what Umar says, but the taking responsibility for another man's child and making sure that woman isn't raising that boy alone, I can't jive with it. I can't jive with it. It's fundamentally saying that women are so stupid that we can't. The only way to get women to choose the thing that's better for them and not the thing that's the worst thing for them, the only way to get them to choose is to make the numbers of Pookie so small, because you're not going to get rid of it. You're not going to eliminate it completely. Okay? But just to make the numbers so small that somehow they have less Pookies to choose from. So in effect, he's saying that women are so dumb that they're all going to be choosing Pookies every single time. So what we got to do is make the number of available Pookies so small that she has no choice but to go with the best option. Because the black woman is so dumb that she can't pick anything else but the worst option. That's the line of thinking that Umar is going down. So I don't think he really understands what he's saying when he says this. And puts all blame on the men and acting like the women aren't autonomous at all. But let's get back to the video.
I mean,
All right. So
Every time I want to get back into the video, it won't play an ad. Hold on. We gonna go back. Okay. Let's go back. Hold on. Let me get my control right. All right.
did black men willingly leave the household, or was it the system that was?
It was
pushing
systemic.
All right. So how if we giving them grace for them having to do it without us, but it wasn't our fault, how are we not getting that same grace and that same respect?
I'm gonna tell you why.
Why?
I'm gonna tell you why. Because black men, as the leaders of the community, now
we can't be leaders.
here's the
Women
question
not
we got to
accepting
make.
that.
Here's the question.
And there's the thing. Not on his part. But you're saying that all these boys were raised by women. I speak to this frequently. How is it that women don't grasp, and the community at large doesn't grasp, the simple concept of if a boy does nothing but follows the leadership of a woman, he's gone from the dynamic of knowing nothing else but how to follow women and what women think, and being in tune to what women feel and how women think. Like, he's done nothing but be led by women. So when he gets to his adult life, all he knows is that women should lead. But women want leaders themselves. They want to be led. And this is why single motherhood isn't something for us to champion, because these boys only know how a woman leads. They don't know how to operate as independent thinkers of men in a lot of cases. So let's get back to it. Oh, I'm going to go to the video.
Because the argument y'all make
Yeah.
feeds into the feminist agenda.
Okay.
It's an argument that says, I don't want the responsibility.
I'm a leader.
I
in
don't
my
want to
home,
fix
though.
shit.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to fall back and let her run everything. That's what the feminists tell. They say, look at them, making excuses for why they can't be better men, making excuses for why they can't make better men. You understand? Your argument feeds the feminist narrative.
That's
and it's
not.
dangerous.
That's not what we're making excuses for.
I'm saying I am the better man, but I shouldn't be held responsible because you wanted to choose a Pookie and a Ray Ray. That's not me. I worked too
And
hard
I'm
in
going
my
to go back
life.
to what I said. Pookie and Ray Ray shouldn't exist. And the only reason why Pookie and Ray Ray exist because we're not in the community making those boys the men they need to be. Do you see that?
And,
she don't get a Pookie if you didn't allow a Pookie.
But she got an Eli. She ain't come to Eli. She went to Pookie. And that's what we're trying to say.
She wouldn't have had a Pookie if we didn't allow
I worked too
one.
hard in my life.
And this is where he loses, because you're not going to eliminate every single Pookie from this. It's not going to happen. White people are not going to eliminate every bad boy in their communities. It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. The best thing that you can do as a man is do for yourself before you do for others. Level up and get, gather resources, level up, do what you need to do. Make sure that the family, because he's jumping the gun. What he's saying is that you should raise a child with a single mother, even though it's not your child. You should step in some capacity during your free time. If I'm a father, I have no free time. All of my time is devoted to my family and cultivating and taking care of that. I have no free time as a father. If I was a father, there's no free time. There's no time to laugh. There's no time to enjoy what I want to enjoy. There's no time for me. If I'm a father, I am to dedicate all of my time, energy, and effort into cultivating my family. So, me going over to Shaniqua's house when I have my own family is the problem. Now, that's going to be a problem for most Black women. And that leads me to another point that I want to make. Probably not exactly in this video, but we do have a problem in our community with individualism, but it's really sexually based, I find, because we could actually be doing a lot of things if, saying the men weren't trying to have sex with each other's women and the women weren't giving it up so freely based off of who she has and they have. I see areas of the town that I'm in, Louisville, Kentucky, and it is dominated by the Mexican community. If you come to Louisville, Kentucky, go up Preston Highway, you'll see a bunch of Mexican spots, grocery stores, a whole nine. And the reason why is because, the whole trope of like 20, Cat Williams tells this joke of like 20 Mexicans jumping out of a Ford Focus. The reason why is because that's all of their car. So entire families will go live in one house, and then they will have all the men work, the women stay home, all the men work, or this is America in some cases, the women do work, and the men will gather resources, pay off that house in under a year, and then go and do the same thing elsewhere. Then they will also have the same method to gather their resources and open up businesses. That's why you see taco spots and, like I said, the Mexican supermarket, sometimes in the same actual location. It'll be up and down the block because, the taquerias are a high commodity in the U.S. Everybody loves Taco Tuesday. So they could actually set up the same stores, the same type of restaurants right next to each other with minor differences and dominate the entire area. Because it's not just them buying their own product, but it's also people outside of their community coming to their area to buy their products because they want the authentic street taco or the quesadilla, any of that. So it's just something to think about. And the reason why I believe it's not going to happen is because black men are too insecure about their women having sex with another man, as well as, a lot of promiscuity from the women coming out here having sex with whatever man is dangling whatever carrot, take it however you want to take it, dangling whatever carrot that gets her attention in front of their face. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's our value system. Like I said earlier at the top of the program, I think it's our value system. The things that we value about ourselves. No, I don't mean that you should take it lightly that your homie is smashing your girl, but you should have a covenant with anybody, and you should actually, it's gonna be emotional for some, but you should actually thank your homie for smashing your girl because then he revealed unto you her nature. Because if a woman's with me, my homie shouldn't be able to take her and just have his way with her and have sex with her. If she was really for me, he shouldn't be able to have sex with her so easily. So I would be thinking my homie kicking her out of the house, and we would continue to run up the numbers. Because I'm going to need the network. I'm going to need my people by me in order to make it happen. I'm going to need to continue to. So any woman that gets smashed in the house by a man that isn't their man, they should be kicked out. And that should be the underlying threat of any misbehavior is, the woman that is having sex with the homie or the brother or the uncle or whoever, another male that isn't me, get the fuck out of the house. We gonna continue to run the numbers up in safety and security. Yeah, it's kind of fucked up. We gonna deal with it as men, probably a fist fight, break out. But, you know what I'm saying? The woman needs to be excommunicated because you were supposed to guard your virtue and you didn't. That was your duty. That's just what it is. All right. Let's continue though.
She wouldn't have had a Pookie if we didn't allow one.
But Dr. Umar,
the men of former generations, Dr. Umar, the men of former generations. This generation cannot do anything about the mothers of this generation. Simple. So the best that men can do is try and mold the generation coming up under us, not people in our own generation.
Make the raise the boys.
Right. We as men, let's holding other men accountable for the same thing that you talking about right now.
What are we doing for the young brothers in the street? So
what you mean, mentoring them? Now, I mean, he's a great father.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't talking about that's individual. That's good, but that's individualism.
Yeah.
What are we doing collectively as men to change the trajectory for black boys in the streets right now?
I
Nothing.
We're being
but
a voice.
talking shit.
Yeah, I mean, you could take
it's
it. It's
not going to get better unless we put hands on deck. The reason the athletes and the rappers are the role models is the professional black man moved out the hood. Where the dentist at? He ain't in the black community no more.
Mm-hmm.
Where the lawyer at? Where the business owner at? Where your city council person at? We abandon black boys and then we blame black men.
Yeah, it's the light skin always saying something that they shouldn't be saying. I know I'm being colorist, but listen, he said, I don't even know who that is. Maybe you should. You might want to know who your councilman is.
And for poor choices in mates that they should not even have to make if we did a better job raising our boys the right way. At the end of the day, if I'm going to call myself a man, the ultimate responsibility for reconstruction of the black community rests with me. Yes, they have a role. Yes, they have responsibility. But as a man, as a leader, to say I can't fix this shit unless she changes, that's not the definition of a man.
I don't see. I think we're on two different accords. Like, I don't think we're saying that. What I'm saying is I'm capable of being that leader, that provider. I've worked hard in my life. You get what I'm saying? I should not have to.
You still go back to individualism.
But I only feel like we tell black men that we have to now deal with masculine women with children.
Why is she masculine? Because she's had to raise the kids alone. Not.
Okay, let's talk about this certain thing of logic. She's masculine because she had to raise the kids alone. Men don't become feminine when they have to raise their kids alone. I don't understand. I don't see men becoming feminine when they have to raise their kids alone. I don't see them having to be the mother. Matter of fact, I don't think any man I know claims motherhood on Mother's Day. It's usually just the women. I think women's need to be masculine, specifically the black women's need to be masculine, comes from a modicum of dick envy. And traumatic experiences that they've had with men. And the only way they believe to solve their problems is to take on the worst traits, the worst, what they perceive as negative traits in men. But, you know what I'm saying, add their feminine sensibilities to it to a certain degree. That's what I see happening. But you don't see men becoming feminine when they're left alone with children, even though they have to do the nurturing as well to a certain degree. Why is it in particular? What aspect about parenthood, single parenthood, causes women to become quote unquote masculine? Seriously, answer that question for me. I want that question answered. What in particular about single parenthood causes black women in particular, because we're having a discussion about black women, what in particular causes single parenthood, what in particular in single parenthood causes black women to be quote unquote masculine? Answer that for me. We're gonna get back to it.
Not one woman,
So you
brother,
mean to tell me
a whole community.
So you mean to tell me the only woman I could look forward in my life is a masculine woman that has kids by other men?
No,
that's what I have to look forward to.
But I'm telling you, mistakes made by black men systemically gave rise to the conditions that allowed her to be masculine and made her end up with a man that you consider to be less than what he should be. And I'm telling you, black men are responsible for her being masculine because we have not helped her raise them children.
I am
and
not.
when I say help them raise them children, I don't mean you as the stepdad.
No, yeah,
I
agree.
mean you as an active member in
Definitely.
the community
Yes.
where we go to every single parent black mother and say, how many sons you got? 2? How many sons you got? 2? Well, guess what? That's your son's big brother. That's your son's big brother. He taking them to school. He doing the homework. He gonna spend a couple hours with him every Saturday. He got his own kids too, but he gonna make time for you. She got masculine because she had to become masculine in order to deal with the rape, the abuse, the domestic violence, the disappointments that men had in her life, and also raising those kids and have to take care of herself all at the same time. The black woman has been the be-all, in-all in our community for half of a century, and now we want to turn around and say because she didn't do it perfectly enough or remain feminine enough when she had to absorb our responsibilities plus her own, that's insensitive and disingenuous.
But this is what I'm saying. Like, I know single fathers. They don't become feminine just because they have to raise kids. So it's real interesting to me. But
I don't believe so.
Yeah, I can't.
I mean, I guess I do understand what you're saying.
I'm not taking
you
nothing
have
back from
yet
that.
to tell me something that we've done systemically to combat that. Because you keep saying me and her. I don't care about me and her.
But there's plenty
women and men. Women and men as a group in the community. You understand?
Right.
We gave birth to that. You see? So you say she had a couple kids already because she met men. She probably thought they was good. Some of them, they left her.
She knew they wasn't good.
You don't know that, brother?
She knew they wasn't.
no, we know. We like, come on, we gonna act like Soldier wasn't a smash hit from Destiny's Child. Soldier. I love the song Lil Wayne, T.I., Soldier. You know what I'm saying? She need a thug. She want a thug. Like, women talk open and honestly. Not Cash Doll. Asia Doll said that her man needs to have 3 bodies. Like, any man needs to have at least 3 bodies before they talk to her. I have had to have ended 3 lives, forever change 3 families of people before I holler at Asian Doll. I don't want to holler at Asian Doll. Never would. But we're not going to act like black women at large have a type. And it's usually the worst thing for them. We're not going to act like that. But we're not going to sit here and be like black women have stellar mating selection. And this is my problem, and this is where it just completely evaporates for me with Umar. It's like, okay, if she chose poorly, she should then suffer the consequences of making that choice. If we're in the age of equality, if we're in the era of equality and she chose poorly, look, if I choose poorly, that's my ass. I got to suck it up. That's what they would tell me. If I chose anything poorly, it wouldn't necessarily even have to be mating selection. Anything. Chose a wrong character in a video game. I don't get rewarded. Go over here. I don't get rewarded, right, for choosing the wrong character in a video game and then getting my ass kicked because I chose a character I'm unfamiliar with, or because I chose, you know what I'm saying? I chose the character I didn't mean to choose. I don't then get rewarded with the thing that I want, which is victory. Anyway, I got my ass kicked. I'm gonna have to suck it up, go back, return. Is that a man's life? Yes, but women want equality. That's what equal mean. You can't complain about taking on masculine energy if you want to live in a man's world and you want to behave like a man. Then you get these male-oriented consequences. That's just what it is. You can't complain about having being treated as a male when you wanted to live a male's life. But anyway, let's go back.
Good,
You're
like,
making
you know what I'm saying?
assumptions about her. Would you make the same assumption if she was a white woman?
Yes, I would.
So you said,
Yes.
No,
No,
I
that
don't know.
was-
Yes, I would make the same assumption about a white woman. I absolutely, wholeheartedly, absolutely. Make the same assumption about a white woman. It wouldn't even be an assumption. If I've been around a woman for a long, extended period of time, I would know what her dating habits are. You're trying to get men to not see what they see, and they see it clear as day. But let's continue.
Oh, man,
No,
nah.
so you said-
Come
We
on.
hold all
Listen.
women accountable.
So you said,
Listen,
Come on,
like I said, I feel like as a black
we
man,
don't hold them all accountable because black men date outside their race more than every other man put together.
I said we.
What does that? What does that have to do with the price of tea in China?
Y'all three.
Yes.
Okay.
yeah.
I
But
can't disprove that because I don't know you personally.
Even that,
But
if we look at the numbers, black men marry black women at an 87% rate, where black women marry outside of their race, or they marry outside at a 92%.
black women
That's
do
only
not. No, you're
that's
wrong.
percentages of
You're
part.
wrong.
That's not that much.
Black women do not marry out the race more than black men.
I'm
That's
not
wrong.
saying that, but the percentages
Black
ain't that
women,
far off. That's what I'm
black
saying.
women have one of the highest, fastest growing interracial marriage rates.
Mm-hmm.
But her interracial marriage rate pales in comparison to what black men have been doing interracially for 4 or 5 decades. You understand? She don't even come close to what we're doing
That black-
interracially.
Because they don't want them. Because a lot of men, I just got off of a panel at the Aaron O show. Shout out to Aaron O. And I just got off of a panel. I was booted off. I'm gonna have to holler at the dude that be moving me. But he usually does it when I'm not on. So me and him never get a chance to have that dialogue, which is interesting. But yeah, so this thing about what Umar just said. In regards to the panel that I was just on, the Caucasian gentleman, the Caucasian gentleman that was just on that panel happened to say that he doesn't want to date any black women because he's thinking about marriage and all of this. And he brought up what I took as racial purity, the racial purity argument. He wanted to have a white baby, which I guess there's nothing wrong with that. But he wanted to have a white baby, so he knows that if he sleeps with his sister, it's more than likely not going to be happen. It's not going to happen. It's either going to be a black or a mixed race, and he's going to have to refer to it as a black child. His child is automatically going to be black, and he doesn't want to raise a black child. There's nothing wrong with that. No, there's some things seem like they're wrong with that, but you know what I'm saying? It's his choice, it's what he wants. If he gets it, cool. We gotta take our emotions out of the discussion. His choice is his choice, and he's entitled to his preference. If he doesn't want to have a black child, we can't force that upon him. So Umar here bringing this up, the primary reason that women can't do the reversal is because, well, men historically want to carry on their genetics, and if I have a child that doesn't look like me, it's gonna fuck with me a little bit every day. So I can see it from that standpoint. And white men can't carry on their genetics with a black woman in the way that they would like to by having a white child that looks completely 100% like them. And that's typically why, white men aren't just like checking for sisters like that when it comes to taking them serious, dating, not dating, but marrying and locking it down. So
Black
we
fathers
almost
are
heard
in the
this.
home more than any other group or race.
Okay. But what
That has no value.
it does have value, but we're going to put that up against the other statistic. 2/3 of our kids are being raised by the women. 2/3 of our kids are being raised by the women. And like I said, when I say being raised, I'm not saying there needs to be a father. I would like a father in that house.
Yeah.
But I know it's not enough of us to go around.
Yeah.
We are not.
He just said that there aren't enough going around, which would make sense as to why 2/3 are, because 2/3 of the women, of those women, 2/3 of the kids that are being raised in single households, those women in particular want all of the men. So this is going to happen regardless of, so she's going to get a Pookie anyway because there aren't enough going around. So no matter how much we reduce the numbers, you're not going to eliminate it completely. And she's been marketed to her entire life to that's the thing that she should go after and want. Actually, I'm not going to say it was marketed to her because actually the market dictates. So she bought into that. She wasn't told that that's what she wants. She already wanted it. And so the market sold her the thing that, she was already thinking about.
Even being accountable to the boys in the hood. And we're complaining about the women
I argue with women
who
all
are
the
making babies
Yeah,
with the irresponsible men that we didn't raise correctly.
But we wouldn't have raised them. They would have been our peers. We couldn't tell those niggas shit. That's what I'm saying. That's why your argument is stupid. Because the generation of men that you're talking about are knocking up the chicks that are of our generation. It's the same generation. Matter of fact, in some cases, some of these men that they get knocked up by are older than them because women like older men. So how are we going to, as that generation, it would be the generation before us that would have had to hold that individual accountable like they've held us accountable. So your gripe isn't with the men in the room, they're with the men of former generations, which is why your argument falls apart, because there's nothing that these gentlemen in the room can organize and do anything about, save the next generation. It has nothing to do with holding the men accountable that are in the room, because the men accountable in the room can only do what they can do for the next generation, not for the generation that we all come from. He shouldn't have been raised, but that is the failings of yesteryear, not today. We're talking about today. If men move in a particular fashion today and make themselves unavailable to the women that are on the BS behavior, then the women will have no choice but to change. The women will have to be made to suffer more than they are, because there's always someone like Dr. Umar out here trying to save them all.
That's bullshit.
All right.
That's wimp ass weak man shit. Take responsibility for our shit. Stop scapegoating them.
Yeah, I could agree.
It's not scapegoating them. They made a choice. You wouldn't call it scapegoating me if I made a decision that was horrible for myself and then I had to face the consequences of that decision making. It wouldn't be, I wouldn't be a scapegoat at that point.
I could agree to that.
All I'm saying is look at all we could be doing better, man. Half the black boys in the 4th grade can't read. What black men doing about that systemically?
Not enough.
I know what I'm doing about it. I'm building a school for it, 2 of them.
Mm-hmm.
But systemically, as black men, what are we doing about that? Nothing. Black boys are the most unemployed teenager in America. What black men doing about that?
Not
See, the Pookie and Ray Ray you kept talking about? Mm-hmm. We letting them raise right before our eyes, and then we want to criticize us for ending up with one when we should have made sure there were none.
Listen, we all got choices. Just like if I choose to live a lifestyle,
you're dealing with individualism again. I can't
but that's
deal with
part
that.
of choices.
No, it's not. We have to deal with this systemically. He brought up a question earlier, and he said, "Did we make these problems on our own, or was there some systemics involved?" It was systemics.
Okay.
In 1970, they shut down the factories. They took out the industrial building jobs. 1980, dropped off the crack and the AIDS. 1990, the Bill Clinton crime bill. There's systemic factors at play. You totally divorce your analysis from any systemic factors at all. You ain't mentioned one. You keep talking about her and Pookie and Ray Ray with the kids. You ain't said shit about the systemics. That's exactly what white folks want you to do.
Okay, and so this is the crux of his argument when he's talking about everything for him goes back to the white folks. White folks did this, white folks done that whitey bad. This is the problem that most black people just don't comprehend. Systems are only as good as the people that work within them. Let me go back. Most black people don't understand this, but systems are only as good as the people that work them. Okay? Systems are inherently flawed because human beings are inherently flawed. We haven't fully fleshed out the proper system of checks and balances, although throughout the system, as they put it, I'm assuming the court system, but throughout the system, as we put it, there are many checks and balances. There aren't enough, so people tend to fall through the cracks. But you can't blame every plight that you have isn't 100% on the system. Did you do enough in the situation? Did you do the utmost that you can? These are the questions that one should be asking themselves when they're dealing with any problem that's in the face. Did I do this soon enough to make sure that that didn't happen? You want to be proactive, you don't want to be reactive. You want to be as proactive as possible, and then you want to supersede the proactive that you were yesterday the very next day. You want to be more proactive and more proactive and more proactive to the point that you've staved off all of the consequences that come with being reactive and being put in situations where you're forced to be reactive. So systems are only going to benefit you as much as they're designed to. Majority of things are on you in this life. But let's get back to it.
That's what white folks want you to do.
I'm saying that
ignore
I have made
what I've done to your women and scapegoat her. Because that's what she's doing to you. She's ignoring what the system did to you. And she's going to scapegoat you.
Great point. So why aren't we talking more about what the system did to me and not, you know what I'm saying? She's scapegoating you. No, it's not what it is. We need to address and hold ourselves accountable on an individual basis. See, I don't believe that it's really about, I don't believe my life is really about women. I never think from that. I never believed that, you know what I'm saying? I only believe in what I allow. And if I allow so much to happen, then that's what's going to continue. I'm in control of the majority of things in my life, and the rest that I'm not in control of, I give that to God each and every time. And that's how I operate on a day-by-day basis. It's not about what somebody did to me. 10% is what happens to me. 90% is what I do about it. That's what I believe.
And we're both scapegoating each other.
Okay, that's fair.
Your analysis is feeding the gender war. It's not solving it.
Listen,
I don't mind us holding the women accountable. I don't mind us holding the men accountable.
Right?
Yeah.
But when we're going to hold the system accountable as well.
That's fair.
And if we're going to hold the system accountable, that also means we got to make our own systems too. Black men have not been manly in quite some time when it comes to raising boys.
How would you suggest that black men take on the role of leadership?
Especially when there's an attack on black masculinity.
Without women willing to listen to us. You get what I'm saying? How do we prove our worth or take back the leadership
care of the boys.
role?
You want the women back? Take care of these damn boys. They run in the hood, killing people at will, flunking out of school, following the lead of the gangster rappers. There's a whole bunch of stuff we can do that ain't got nothing to do with the women, boys and men. Do you understand?
Notice how he listed a bunch of problems, but not one solution. He said take care of the boys, but he didn't instruct these men on how to. He just said what the boys were doing that were wrong. He just pointed out the behavior, but he didn't say he didn't have a plan of action. I know he's got a school, but these boys don't like school to begin with. So what's another school to them?
Deal with the boys and the men. Leave her out of it and go straight to the boys. And you'll get her respect back. Give them jobs, give them education, give them training, give them your time. They not getting none of that from black men. We don't give a shit about black boys. And then we're going to get mad at her for ending up with one later in life. It's ridiculous.
Like
you
I said,
create
we
the
get.
product and get mad for her for ending up consuming the product.
She could consume whatever she wants. I'm just saying, as a black man,
It's not about her consuming whatever she wants, brother, because if we're trying to fix the black community, everybody and everything matters. It's
and that's
not individual.
understandable.
You're an
But
individualist. You're not thinking as a community. Your whole analysis is based on me and her. Step out of that shit. This is systems at play. You understand?
Right.
Multiple black men screwed up. Multiple black women screwed up. You understand me? Look at the systemic nature and say, what system do we need to create as black men to prevent the Pookie and Ray Ray from coming into existence?
Excommunication. That's what I believe. Shunning and excommunication. It was reason why cultures did it way back in the day, and that's why, hey, they need to go back to doing it now because it works. Shouldn't just be about every black person. Every black person ain't gonna make it to Wakanda. Sorry to tell you. Every black person ain't gonna make it to Wakanda. I'm sorry to tell you this. I don't know if you knew. I don't know if your mama knew. I don't know if, you know what I'm saying, you had an inkling of a feeling, of a thought. But every black person is not going to make it to Wakanda. We got to give up the pipe dream. Every black person is not going to make it to Wakanda, fam. Every black person is not going to make it to Wakanda. You know what I'm saying? It might be some white folks in Wakanda. Listen, you had the Winter Soldier in Wakanda. You know what I'm saying? That CIA detective was in Wakanda. Every black person I know is not going to make it in Wakanda. Might be a few whites. But not every black person is going to make it to Wakanda. Every black person is not going to make it to Wakanda. It's just not going to happen. In order for black people to get the utopia that they're looking for, they're going to have to buckle down, list off characteristics of individuals that are healthy and characteristics that are of a detriment to the community that you are trying to build. And then everybody that has more one way than the other, we don't deal with them at all. That's the only way for it to work. I promise. That's the only way for it to work, is excommunicating the individuals that are not of the things that are actually beneficial to the community. It's the only way that it's going to work. Anybody, listen, that means every black man's going to have to get a job. They out here, regardless of what you believe. These jobs are out here. I see signs every day, hiring. $21 an hour, $23 an hour, $17 an hour, wherever you want to be in it, depending on how much you want to work. I don't care about how much I got to work. I'm about to leave this and go working, okay? And that's what really needs to be instilled, because everybody else is working for theirs. I told you, you need to stop putting sex. This is what's happened to the black community. Sex has been put to the forefront. Sex has been put to the forefront of the black community. And then the work has been put to the back. The grind has been put to the back, when really it should be the word. It's called creation, then recreation. Recreation takes place after work has been done. And not just any work, effective work. Anyway, this is going to be a two-parter because I got more to speak on, but I got to run. Peace, wealth, health, wealth. Peace, wealth. Peace, love, health, wealth to you all. Get with me in the comments. Worry observations, righteous discussions. It's the Word of Podcast. I've been your host, OMNIETC. Omni, etc. Get with me in the comments, folks. Let me know what you think. And of course, as always, I'm gonna chop this up and reel it up later on. But holla at me. Yeah. Peace. Why is it going here? What is that about? Hold on. Let me go back. I'm here. What is that about? Guess everything moved over one. That's right. I did make that. So hold on. Okay. All right. Peace, wealth, health. Wow. Peace, wealth. Peace, love, health, wealth to you all. Wary observations, righteous discussions. It's the Word of Podcast. I've been your host, OMNI, ETC, Omni, etc. Omni. And I'm out.